We went in, there were 300 tables of different universities. Harvard was there, Notre Dame was there, MIT was there. They were all out there recruiting, okay? We're recruiting against them. So increased competition and less students is, I think, why what we need to do is in my opinion, to do what Truman State University of Missouri did. They used to be called, I think, Northeast Missouri or Northwest Missouri. I forget. They changed their name to Truman University. The president came in and said this: we are not going to sacrifice quality. We are going to increase standards. We are going to increase standards, and we're going to get 8 to 9,000 students, but they're going to be good students. And that's what he did, and that's what I think we're going to see at Eastern Illinois. Okay? Yes, Dave?
Why do you think Eastern delayed so long on embracing distance learning?
I don't know. I really don't. And and this is one question I'm probably not going to answer because of this. Okay? Do I have an opinion? Yes. However, I also have an opinion that former presidents need to be like the body at a funeral. They need to be seen occasionally, but they don't need to say a lot. And so consequently, I'm not going to say that. I don't know. I think there were competing interests. There were different things, different reasons maybe they didn't do it. But
that's something that's changing now.
I do think it is. I really do think it is.
Big market.
Oh. Okay, the question was, why do you think the university took so long when we went from 12,000 students down to 88,000 that we are right now? Why was that? And the answer, and that's why I answered it. I will also tell you this. The university, we were hard pressed at 12.5. I don't know if we had the facilities to handle 12,500 people. We had problems with parking, we had problems with space on campus, a number of other things. And so the university did want to go down to around 11,000. But the problem is they kept going down. And then there's another reason also, which is not the university's fault. And that is, and I am going to say this, because I've been saying this publicly, the state of Illinois stopped funding higher education the way it needs to be funded in Illinois. Okay? They decreased. The president of the University of Illinois, when I was the president, used to have this saying, and that was, he thought we were the governor's personal ATM machine. Anytime the governor needed money, he'd come to us and take it out of us. Okay? So here's what's happened. What's happened because of that is because if we have so many things we have to pay. Okay? We have to pay the light bill. We have to pay the faculty. We have to pay to do these various things. Okay? So when the state cuts back, we have to make decisions. You know, you can't operate a building without electricity. You can't operate a building without heat. You have to have these things. So as our expenses went up and our income went down, we had to raise tuition. As we've raised tuition, other states continued, especially our bordering states, they were more fortunate, and the state governments of those states funded them. Okay? So Indiana, which we compete with, the last 10 years or so, they have averaged a 2.5% to 3% increase in their funding. When I was president, when I first became president, Eastern's budget altogether, including all factors, is $220 million. The amount of money we get from the state of Illinois is $54 million when I became president. If the budget, which is 6% cut, goes through, and nobody knows what's going to happen in Springfield, absolutely no one. If the budget goes through and we get a 6% cut, we will go from $54 million, which I had when I was president, to now $32, $33 million. That's hard to make up that $20 million. You have to raise the tuition. And when you raise the tuition, what happens if you go and you want to buy apples? Okay? And you go to one apple store and the apples are all good. And the apples there cost $10. And you go to the other Apple store and the apples cost $7 and they're the same quality. Which ones are you going to buy? You're going to buy the $7 apples. That's human nature. Okay? You can go to Indiana State University and pay less than you're going to pay at Eastern Illinois. Now let me tell you one more thing. This is where I think Indiana's smart. Indiana's looking in the future. And they're realizing when you look at your high schools and your grade schools all over the country, there's people who look like me. They're older. They're going to retire. Okay? So here's what happens. Indiana gets you to come to their school. Okay? Because it's cheaper. You want to be an educator. You want to be a teacher. When you student teach, you're going to student teach in the state of Indiana. You're going to get an Indiana teaching certificate. When you go out to look for a job, you're going to want to go stay in the state of Indiana. Illinois, we're sending people all around, all over. There are 50 states in the United States. Illinois is the second largest exporter of high school students. The second largest exporter of high school students. The state that exports more is New Jersey. And the reason? They don't have that many universities. So people have to go somewhere. We are exporting students because we're making it inefficient, too expensive. So that's an answer to your question. Anything else? I've certainly exceeded my 10 minutes. Okay? Thank you very much. I'm now, speaking of technology, I have to go home because my internet doesn't work. Okay? And I've called for 3 days. Now, if you want to think or realize how much we are dependent on the internet, have it break. And the worst thing possible is to have your wife, who loves to play these little video games, the little things on the games, not to be able to do that for a day. It's like, I would rather chew my fingers than have to go through that. So I've got to go and meet a guy at 3 o'clock to hopefully get my internet. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to need people in technology. So I might be coming back at the 6 o'clock meeting that I have tonight. If any of you going to be here at 6? Oh, good, so I can use the same thing. As Jack Buck said, who was the announcer for the Cardinals, it's much easier to change audiences than to change speeches. So.
Well, I told President Hencken before we started that he is like a pianist or a musician who is virtuoso. If you don't know what virtuoso means, it means that the musician is so talented that he cannot play the same piece twice the same. Always has a touch here, delay here, some artistic thing in it. So he never repeats himself. Now, 50 years from now, you remember what I'm saying now. Most of you will become 60, 70 at the time, not 60, in 50 years you'll be 70 years. And your grandchildren will come to you and say, what did you do at Eastern? Tell us some stories. And you tell them that you met with President Hencken. And they say, wow, we read his name in the books. Did you meet him personally? Yes. What did he tell you? And I'm sure you'll remember many of whatever he said, because you'll apply it. Before you give him a hand of thanks, I want to tell you 2 stories about him that really touches me, and I never get tired of saying them. A president of a university usually sits in a room and people have hard time meeting with him. But come the week before start of the semester and ask about the president of Eastern Illinois University. You will not find him in a room. You will not find him in a desk. You'll find him with the students in the dorms, helping them carry their stuff, taking this bag, taking this whatever, and helping them with a cheerful spirit so that they can start well.
I was younger. But I don't know if I could do it now.
So I want you to give him a hand for that. Also, he used to wander, not wander, but wander in the quad. Walks. He just walks. Most of the time alone. And when he was asked about that, he said to us that he likes to walk and think and just get inspired by being within the buildings, seeing students, seeing faculty, seeing even the trees. And this brings him a charge that he goes back to his office refreshed with new ideas. So give him another hand for that.